G'day everyone, Alex McKellar here for another Top Split Racing replay review. I don't know, what do you call them? Anyway, SkipJack this week, Bele Isle, round 8, season 3, 2022, which, it's come around kind of quick, kind of slow at the same time. Anyway, it's been pretty hectic here this week. This was my second race of the week. And it was a pretty big one, 4,300 strength of field. A few of the folks coming back to the skips on a track that a lot of people enjoy. Christian Perez dropping on pole ahead of Team Torpedo's Flying Dutchman. Tim Henderson is back in the series off and on. Again, you can see the pace is pretty hot up front. 42.6 drops it on pole. Decent effort, that's for sure. Adrian Rodriguez, who's the partner in crime. He's Team Astro as well. He's dropped it on third ahead of the leading Japanese driver, of course, Takumi Yamato. This is the Japanese community strength of field race, and great to see one of the Japanese drivers up there so far. Adam Miles, community rep for the skips, of course, on iRacing. He's in 5th, ahead of Yoga Mosbeck. Myself in 7th, Yuan Si Lin in 8th, Team Bossman for Milo in 9th, Russell Clark. Ravasco Sorosky, my chief sparring partner in the ANZ Club Championship for Team Clowns, in 10th, on about 30 seconds notice. He was pretty late to the party after a day out. Matsushinsky and the Snake Catcher on the 6th row, Ryan Chenoweth. So just search for my next button. There we go. Takatsuji Katsuyama, Sleepy Cat Racing's bit of Vandenor and the Sleepy Cat himself, ahead of Nakamura. Nathan Verney for Locked On Racing, and of course Mark Jeffrey, stalwart of Skippy Racing just generally, snuck into the field in P18th. Now you'll notice the time there. I'm 7, nearly 8 tenths off the pace. That was pretty representative of my pace this week, compared to the top end of town. Really struggling at the last sector, particularly out of turn 12, but which really cost me. It cost me about 2 tenths on that lap. Even if I'd done what I did on my first lap, it would have put me one spot up on the grid onto the 3rd row, and as you'll probably see in this one, really made a difference to the race and where we were at. But anyway, let's crack on with this one. This one had a bit of controversy in it at different points. Not sure how much we'll dive into that, but what we will dive into is 14 laps here at Belle Isle. So the goal in this one really was to try and stick with the front 5. The front 5 here, and you can see already the action was sort of started at turn 1. There was already chirping on the radio, actually. Turn 2, I should have said. And look at this, all fanned out. Everyone been real careful about how they approach this one. 4,300 strength of field in the skips is not too common. Everyone wanting to do quite well. But like I said, there was already, from the race before, a bit of heat up front. And it's sort of carried over a bit into this one. And I don't know, certainly on my mind, I was thinking, be a bit patient here, let the race come to you. There might be a decent result in it for you, depending on, how nicely the boys up front play. So yeah, like I said, the goal here was top 5, and you can see already, I mean, the whole field's only separated by 5 seconds. So to navigate that first sort of couple of sectors successfully, and be so tight still, is pretty impressive driving in this field, or from this field, I should say. And it goes to show you it's pretty tight. Yeah, so looking at the top 5 guys, Perez sitting there in 5th, down 4 spots after that little tangle through turn 2 early on. Osbeck makes a mistake. I thought about going there, but I didn't, because we'd already lost a fair bit of time, and like I said, I really wanted to hang on to the front 5, as realistically, that's about all the pace that I had was to hang on in draft. And if we're losing the draft as we are here, I'm already pretty frustrated. And Osbeck taking a defensive line and then, yeah, coming across in front. I give him a little net code nudge. That was all on me. I always say net code's not an excuse. I just misjudged my braking relative to his. Early conversation for he and I at this track, as in early part of the conversation in our race together, so I misjudged his braking relative to mine. He was obviously braking a fraction earlier to focus on the exit of the corner, and I just hadn't adjusted, and that's my fault, not his. And then we're coming down through, and it's side by side up front, and look at this, over under, and then it's just all checked up, and I'm into the rear of Osbeck again. That one wasn't a misjudgment of braking points. That was just a massive checkup. Led through the previous corner at turn 7. I was on the radio straight away. You can see there's no damage, and I don't think there was any damage to either car. The neck code again, but it was, it was always going to be contact, I think. And I misjudged the checkup there, and I did apologise over the radio. I think it was a bit messy behind as a result too, but that was it started in front of me, the checkup, and I think Osbeck actually made contact with Yamato as well, but it got real messy behind as it just sort of magnified as it went down through the chain. But now, as I give the wall a little nudge, quite possible to do here. You don't want to stretch the friendship too much with the walls here, but you can get away with probably a bit more than you think. So we're back settling in, trying to and hoping to get somewhere near the top 5 again. But we're struggling to hang on. I was kind of sitting here, I'm going to, dare I say, patiently. I didn't want to cost us too much time. After the big checkup the lap before through the section coming up, we did have a bit of a gap behind us. I'm not sure if Russell behind us had some damage out of it or not, but I'm mindful of two things. There's a gap behind us that we're starting to cultivate, but not only are we losing touch with Yamato, we're also losing touch. He in turn is losing touch with Miles. So the front three are gone. So very mindful that the top, particularly the top 4 in the top 5 are, right up there in the Skippy community of those in the series at the moment. Perez in my mind is the number 1. It's easy to argue that there's a few away like Simonson and that, and he doesn't get to race with Leo Ovtcharov very often, although I must say I was really pleased. I watched, Leo's been streaming, I watched a couple of his races yesterday, and Christian was in that race, and to see, as I make the move here, finally I decided, all right, let's see if I've got the pace to do anything. Osbeck's been getting dropped. Let's see if I can actually do something here. Anyway, I did get to see Leo and Christian go toe-to-toe in a couple of races on Leo's stream. I was really pleased. 2 reasons I was really pleased. Leo is, stroke for stroke, one of the quickest guys out there, if not, well, he's right up there with Perez. As probably the 2 quickest in the series, and but he races at a time zone such that he doesn't get to do these kind of races and doesn't get to sort of measure himself against the others who are up there in that sort of stratosphere. So to see Christian race Lob in his usual race times was really cool. I think I worked it out. It was like the 2 races they did were at 3 and 4 a.m. in the morning for Christian. So I think I said to Leo at the time, Christian just loves to race, which is evident from that sort of level of commitment. He's seeking out a challenge, which is great. Christian went 2 for 2 there in those 2 races. And those 2 could go tit for tat at any track we see. It was just this week, it was Christian's week. Having said that, I think whilst their pace is, you know, equivalent and could go either way on any given day, I do think Christian's probably got the legs under him when it comes to the battling in a race context, which probably makes him the standout for me at the moment. So, but then in that front three, you got Hendrickson and Rodriguez, his teammate, or Perez's teammate in there, and Rodriguez is, you know, very, very quick, bit of a wild card in races, who can mix things up a bit. Perez has got the patience and the confidence, more importantly, to come back at you if stuff happens and he needs to recover. He's very confident in his pace and his ability to do that. Miles, who's as quick as most in the field. I think probably the front couple, well, certainly maybe Rodriguez and Perez might have his number. Perez probably does. You see, I've just backed out. You know, I wasn't, you know, going to battle here. I was actually quite frustrated because, like I said, my goal was maybe to scrape into the top 5, but, you know, for reasons we weren't there. Largely it was pace. I think Osbeck and my pace was probably pretty similar. Has been at a number of tracks. But this one I was just a bit down on pace, and that probably added to my frustration as well. So at this point, you know, strategically, there's no point in battling. See if we can build up a bit of a gap behind, and then just wait to see if sparks fly up front and bring them back to us in any way, shape or form. Because you can see the front three have cleared out by a second and a half over Miles, and they were chirping on the radio constantly in each other. There was, like I said, there was a bit of heat in this one. So, you know, in some respects, being clear of the line of fire might be helpful at times, but it's also not what you turn up to do. You turn up to race, I hate being not competitive, so, or being uncompetitive, as Osbeck clips the wall again. I was kind of driving within myself a little bit, partly through lack of confidence, partly through frustration in that we weren't up there. But, you know, sometimes you got to go that way, and all it does is fuel the fire to get better, right? Race before this one, I think I grabbed the podium with a lot of the same faces. I managed that goal in the top 5, and in part because of incidents in front of me which fueled the heat in this race up front, and in part because you know, I'm pretty sure Christian was playing with his food again with myself and I'm trying to think who was in second ahead of us anyway. He was just playing with his food a bit, and then when the time came, he just put the foot down and cleared out and broke draft in the last sort of 3 laps or so. And I sort of said to him, you know, thanks for keeping me in it. And he said, no, your pace is good and all that. No, it's not, mate. It's not. Anyway, so where are we about? Start of lap 7, so we're nearly halfway through at this point, and we're not making any inroads. So, you know, and I just, as you can see from my line here, it's part of this non-verbal dialogue that's going on. I'm just showing I'm no threat. I'm content to sit here and run our laps, because realistically our only hope is if the front folk get in it or get at it with each other. And you can see that in their battling, they've brought Miles and Yamato back into it. And while I was talking about the top 4 or 5, I shouldn't forget Yamato. He's the leading Japanese driver this series, although they've been a bit thin on the ground, the Japanese guys, this season. And the guy who, of course, won SNL, was it the last season or the season before? He's got an injury at the moment with his wrist. Can't drive too much. Yamato, I think, has actually just moved cities, or moved for work, and so his time's limited in a new job. And yeah, they're a bit thin on the ground. I think Kato Sasaki, he's a drift racer in real life. And from what I understand, he's off trying to qualify for one of the big track series in Japan. So You know, good luck to him. Shout out to Sasak's son. I hope he does really, really well. And I hope we get to see him again soon, because he, started this season in particular, I thought he was really going to give it a nudge. And his pace is really, really good. So hopefully we get to see him again too soon and see how he stacks up against the like of the guys at the pointy end of town of this race. So again, as we start the second half of the race, I am sitting in behind Osbeck, not posing any threat at this point. I've raced with Osbeck a few times. He likes to be in front of whoever he's racing from what I've seen, and whether that's just the competitive mindset of, like, at this point I'm thinking, well, I'm faster than you, mate. I could be, you know, drawing faster laps or doing faster laps, and he might be thinking the same. Whether it's just that kind of mentality or not, I don't know, because that's kind of the kind of mentality you want going into a race. You want to think you're faster than the competitors around you and all the rest of it. But at this point in the race, I didn't think, let's say for argument's sake, I'm a tenth quicker, even if I was, and it's hypothetical. We're 3.5 seconds behind P5. It makes absolutely no difference, and we would lose more than we would gain if I were to go past and try and catch up. We'd lose more in the attempts of me going past and him attempting coming back at me than we would just sitting here. So, you know, for argument's sake, if I was a tenth quicker, you know, it serves no benefit if we lose 3-4 tenths in the battle, me trying to get past. So at this point, I've kind of settled myself in for 2 scenarios. If racing continues like this, last lap or 2 we duke it out and I'm fighting for P6. However, the other scenario is if the front guys battle it up hard, as you would expect in the closing stages of this race, maybe they come back at us, although that's a big ask given where they are at the moment. But stranger things have happened. So for the time being, we're running our laps, we're running clean, we're trying to be non-threatening, as non-threatening as possible, shall we say, in the mirrors of Osbeck. And hopefully, well, you see, we've picked up half a second on Yamato. Well, near enough to half a second in the last lap or so. And they are right on the tail, more or less. Yeah, they are on the tail of the front 3. So maybe scenario 2 might be coming our way. We can but hope. But still, in the background of this, there's a bit of chirping on the radio between the orange and blue and the purple and white cars. Like I said, there was a bit of heat from the race before. In reflection, I probably won't dive into it after the race. There were some incidents and bumps and bruises here and there, and I was reflecting on it last night. I was sort of reviewing the race in expectation that I might make a video of it, and I really tossed up whether or not I'd make a video on this race, because I don't like seeing conflict within the community. You expect disagreements in competitive racing and people seeing things differently and all the rest of it, but I do like everyone to walk away with a modicum of respect and drive with respect as well. And the way I saw this one, for what it's worth, while I've got the soapbox and the microphone, is there was stuff on both sides that I thought could have been done better, to put it politely. I suspect, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a stewards report and stuff out of it. But for mine, I honestly think there was stuff both sides could have done a bit better on it. And in part, it's how you position your car, and you know, you're not breaking a rule, but you're also inviting risk. And if you're inviting risk and stuff happens, that's where you know, that can be the spark of conflict as well. And then how someone reacts to stuff, you know, and what the intent behind that. Yeah, look, it's complicated. in the heat of the battle, it can get complicated. And, you know, I like to consider us as a community. I like to consider many of the folk in this community as friends that I've built up over the last few years. So to see, you know, that sort of conflict come out is not what I like to see anyway. So, like I said, that's probably all I'll dive into it on it. I won't sort of cut through the replays and hyper analyze and break it down and all the rest of it, because at the end of the day, in all honesty, I don't think you're going to find a winner and a loser or a right and a wrong, or strictly speaking one way or the other. As the smoke is flying and we hit the parachute, and there was the aforementioned coming together moment, which was scenario 2. In amongst that, we've now jumped up to P4, and a lot of stuff's happening on the timing tree as cars fall off the face of the race. And I was sitting here thinking, oh, I've got a chance. First thing was to pick our way through without getting killed in amongst it. And you can see we were a long way back, but it was still pretty sketchy by the time we got there. Ausbeck backed right out of it sensibly. I backed out of it enough, and I probably took cheeky advantage of that. But, you know, we live to fight another day, and we're sitting in P4. And I've already pulled a 10th and a half or so since Ausbeck's been on my toe, and I thought, here's my chance. And you see I'm already up to 7 tenths, although he got a better exit out of 11. As we come into 12, this corner is my nemesis. 6 tenths in front on the entry, 5 tenths on exit. And then my hopes were dashed. I really need to work on that corner. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing wrong there. I think it's a combination of not braking enough, which means I'm not getting on the gas early enough, and then I stuffed up that run through turn 1 entirely, and it's put him right on my tail again. I was ready to defend here because there's 3 laps to go when we cross the line there, but he waited, which is fine. He hadn't run laps behind me before, so, and I'd already pinged him twice from the same sort of scenario, so he did pretty well to wait there. He's got time, and that shows a good degree of patience actually when you think about it. There's still two laps to go after the one we're on. A lot of people will let that get to them and think, oh, he's just gone through in amongst that. I'm better because he only got the opportunity because of the accident and all the rest of it. If I get in front, I can just drive away and all that sort of stuff, right? But no, he waited and was patient and realised that with 2 laps to go, there's still plenty of options, you know, a lot of options. At a couple of passing opportunities, you know, turn 3, and then again at turn 7. In between turn 3 and turn 6, there's a lot that can happen, and how you position your car and connect those corners can really make a difference in terms of a strategic pass. And you really got to set that up too, particularly in fields like this where times are tight, or any field where you're really tight with your competitor. It really does pay. As I straight away, I'm on the right. I'm thinking it's defense time. I'm going to defend the whole time. I'm going to move over to the left until I need to here. Then get the run in. Try and set up. I've been taking 3rd there instead of 4th through between the 2 apexes. Now, again, I'm defending. Start to move to the left when he makes the big move. I probably could have gone further, but I wanted to leave him space. Into the braking zone we go. And I pick up a slowdown. Less than ideal. Anyway, back on the horse. I really thought I could hold that though there. I actually think there's more to be said for going the out. Oh, Rodriguez is gone. Hold on, that changes everything. This is now a battle for P3. Oh, jeepers, that doesn't change things much. Here I'm sitting here saying, oh, I'm spewed. There's a podium ahead of me. I just want that podium. Points. Anyway, I think there's a lot to be said around the outside line at turn 3. because that gives you the inside line at turn 5 if you can stay in it. And realistically, the crucial point of an overtake at turn 3 can often be the inside at turn 5. You can run side by side through a lot of corners here. Turn 5, I would suggest to you, is not one of them. Just the way the apex protrudes out and the outside corner, outside walls come at you on the exit of the corner. Yeah, it really sort of funnels. So the inside at turn 5 is highly prized in my opinion. And as we come for the white flag now, I'm a fair way behind, so I've missed my... And I stuffed here again. I just really did not set it up, so I've missed my opportunity down here at turn 3. So at this point, I'm thinking turn 7 is about all I've got. Look how far back I am. It's terrible. Still, we're not quite out of it yet. 4/10, so there's a long lot to recover through here, and in fact I'll lose half a tenth. Ibis is the apex at aforementioned turn 5, which gives me half a tenth. Even though I caught up a tenth through those couple of corners, unfortunately, not close enough to make a move at turn 7, which really leaves you sketchy 11 and 12 is really the final chance you got. But the draft brings me another tenth and a half. We're now 2.5 tenths behind. 2.5. We're just sitting here. Realistically, it's through these next 2 corners at 11. Focusing on the exit there to see if we can get the run, and we can't. And at this point, unless he makes a mistake at 12, which is my worst corner, he's pretty much stitched it up, which he does. And there you have it. A long time sitting behind a blue car. There was a lot that went on in this race. It may not have seen it, but there you go, P4. P4 was, look, as I said, my goal was P5, so I can't complain at P4, although I was, I was pretty dirty. I wanted better, but, that's on me and not having the pace here this week. So let's quickly take a look at our results as he crosses his fingers, and there they are, Christian Perez. So here's the thing. There was a lot of stuff going on in that front pack. And one of the reasons I think Christian is the pick of the bunch at the moment is invariably where there's stuff going on like that at the front, and it happens incidentally quite often. He has an ability to pick his way through that stuff and have the pace to recover and sort of get around it. Anyway, so he's taken out this one as well. He won the one before this as well, which was a decent strength of field, and he's just killing it this week. Yamato, who I would have picked to move a bit further back the field, given he hasn't done a lot of racing, but can always stick in a fantastic quality time. He's finished second on the back of the incidents that took place at the front. Osbeck with a P3, he was pretty stoked about that. In this kind of field, you can see we were still a long way off though. I got P4, and in all honesty, I was not unhappy with the result. I think I was hungry for more though. You want to see in 5th, the snake catcher, Ryan Chenoweth, all the way up in 6th position, just ahead of Team Bossman for Milo. Russell Clark in 7th, and the head clown himself, Vasco, in 8th. Katsuyama, 9th. You got Sleepy Cat himself, Peter Vandenord, in 11th. Vernie gets up for Peter's in 10th. Vernie gets up for 11th. Nakamura, Mark Jeffrey for Brown Suit Racing. How good's that? Adam Miles was a unfortunate casualty. The stuff up front, the checkup in the early stages of the race that we saw, the big checkup. Matsushinsky copped it there. Takatsuji, Rodriguez and Hendrickson, the big casualties at the top end of town. So, checking in with our season. This race result itself, as I said, it was 4,300 strength of field. My goal this week, attained 200 point. We needed a 200 point race. And look at that, we got a 203 point race. So I was happy enough with that. Lost a lot of safety rating out of that one. 9 incident points. So I had the 2 0Xs, but, I'm not too fussed. I'm not focused on I rating, and I'm not focused on safety rating this season. I'm focused on points. So points were pretty good. Speaking of points, let's take a look at the points standings. So bearing in mind that Sunday Night Lights is still to run tonight, we have achieved our goal of 1,600 points for the season, which I'm pretty pleased about. And I got a couple of dud rounds. I got a 147 and a 150 something. So 4 weeks to go. There's every chance I could crack 1,700. But this, if nothing else, over the last 2 months, we've reached our goal of 1,600 points, which is the highest points I've ever reached in a season. Last season, I missed out. I got 1,599. I would never have dreamed of getting it, to be honest. I used to go aim for 1,000 points a season, 125 points a round. And I know that was a really good goal for me. And then it stretched. I got it up to 1,200, and I never dreamed I would get to 1,600. So shows you can do it. Put some time and effort in, and plan your races out and all the rest of it. Vasco's still there. He's got Sunday Night Lights tonight to get some more points. He's also got a 115 point round to boost along in the last 4 weeks of the season. So we look at the front runners now. So a stretch goal for this season is top 5 overall. We're sitting in second after 8 rounds. That's fine. There's drop rounds to come into play, 4 rounds to go. Realistically, Rodriguez has got a week in hand. Perez he can do what he wants. He can win it or not, depending on what he wants to do. But he's already put down a championship winning score in the first 8 weeks. Adam Miles, if he had some luck, he'd be right in there. And of course, down there in P11, Manu Luqueta. 5 weeks in, he's got a couple of weeks holidays. I wasn't sure if he meant he was going to race a lot, or he was just taking a couple of weeks off after doing the hard yards for the 24 at Spa. But realistically, they're the 6, including myself, who are in it for the top 5 in my books. And it's going to be tight. It's going to be real tight. I think Perez will do what he wants. Rodriguez is probably lining up for P2. We could snaffle a podium if we're lucky, depending on how Luqueta goes, and if Vasco and I, depending on how our battle goes. And of course, Miles is the wild card in there. With a bit of luck, he'd be in there as well. Anyway, that's what it looks like at the moment. Thank you as always for joining us. It's great to have you here at the Top Split. Don't forget to check us out on Sunday night, 9:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time at the moment on Top Split TV on Twitch. That's where we do the Sunday Night Lights, the biggest racing in town. Of course, Top Split on YouTube is where you'll find us, where you found us here, and you'll find us on all those race replays over there. Join us in the Discord community. That's where we have all the SNL stuff, all the results and all those sorts of things are kept over there. And check us out on Twitter as well. We're over there on Twitter now. We post stuff every now and then. Plan to get a bit more active in Twitch next season, just to see how we go. We've had a crack at the title. We've done what we can. Let's see what we can do. Get a bit of racing. Have some good fun out there as well. All right, folks. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm Alex McKellar. Look forward to seeing you again next week, or at Sunday Night Lights tonight. Either way, thanks for joining us, and ciao for now.